The guard commander called on the human to battle. He consented without second thoughts. The war had been going poorly for 3 solar cycles. Commander Thalos stood in the command center of the orbital fortress, watching red indicators multiply across the tactical display. His mandibles clicked in frustration as another defense grid flickered and died. The Ravagers were pushing through the outer perimeter, and nothing seemed capable of stopping them. Thalos was a veteran of 40 campaigns. He had seen worlds burn and civilizations crumble. His carapace bore the scars of 100 battles, each one a testament to his survival instinct and tactical brilliance. But this enemy was different. The Ravagers fought with a ferocity that bordered on madness, throwing themselves at defensive positions without regard for casualties. Their ships were crude but effective, their weapons brutal in their simplicity. The fortress shuddered as another salvo struck the shields. Thalos braced himself against the console, his 4 eyes scanning the damage reports. They were losing. Not slowly, not gradually, but in a catastrophic cascade that would see the entire sector fall within days. His people would be next. The thought filled him with a cold dread that ran deeper than any fear he had felt in battle. "Commander," his tactical officer called out, "the Third Fleet is requesting permission to fall back." Thalos wanted to deny the request. Every instinct screamed at him to hold the line, to make the enemy pay for every meter of space. But he was also a realist. The Third Fleet was already decimated. Allowing them to retreat might preserve enough ships to defend the homeworld when the inevitable assault came. Before he could respond, a junior officer approached with unusual hesitation. "Commander, there is someone here to see you. He says he can help." "We do not have time for visitors," Thalos snapped, his attention fixed on the tactical display. He came through the diplomatic channel. "A human. He says he heard about our situation." Thalos turned slowly. Humans were rare this far into the sector. They were a relatively young species, barely 500 years into space travel, but they had earned a peculiar reputation. Stories circulated through military circles. Strange stories. Disturbing stories. Tales of humans doing things that defied both logic and survival instinct. "Send him in," Thalos said, curiosity overriding his irritation. The human who entered was unremarkable by the standards of his species. He stood roughly 2 meters tall with brown skin and dark hair cropped close to his skull. He wore simple civilian clothing, not the military uniform Thalos might have expected. His eyes were calm, taking in the chaos of the command center without apparent concern. "Commander Thalos," the human said, his voice steady despite the fortress shaking from another impact. "My name is Marcus Cole. I understand you have a problem." "We have an invasion fleet that outnumbers us 3-1, Thalos replied curtly. "They are breaking through our defenses. Unless you brought a fleet with you, I do not see how you can help." Marcus stepped closer to the tactical display, studying it with an intensity that surprised Thalos. The human was reading the alien interface with apparent ease, his eyes tracking ship movements and damage assessments. After a long moment, he looked up at the commander. "I can help you," Marcus said simply, "but I need command authorization and access to your armory." Thalos felt his mandibles twitch in what might have been amusement or disbelief. "You are one being, one human. What exactly do you propose to do?" "What humans do best," Marcus replied. "I will board their command ship and kill everyone on it." The command center fell silent. Even the constant chatter of communications and damage reports seemed to pause. Thalos stared at the human, searching for any sign of jest or insanity. He found neither. Marcus Cole stood with the calm certainty of someone stating an obvious fact. "That is suicide," Thalos said finally. "Their command ship is in the center of their formation, protected by dozens of cruisers and hundreds of fighters. Even if you somehow reached it, There are thousands of Ravagers on board. Yes, Marcus agreed. Is that a problem? Thalos had heard the stories about humans. He had dismissed most of them as exaggeration or propaganda. Now, facing this calm, utterly serious individual, he began to wonder if the stories had been understating the truth. Why would you do this? Thalos asked. This is not your war. Your people have no stake in this sector. Marcus was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. 6 years ago, my daughter was on a research station near the border. The Ravagers hit it during one of their raids. She was 7 years old. The command center remained silent. Thalos felt something shift in his understanding of the situation. This was not about tactics or strategy. This was personal. The human before him had traveled across light years for revenge, and he had found a target worthy of his grief. If I give you command authorization, Thalos said slowly, you will die. I cannot guarantee extraction. I cannot even guarantee you will reach the command ship. I will reach it, Marcus said with absolute certainty, and I will not need extraction. Thalos looked at his tactical officer, who made a gesture of bewilderment with his sensory stalks. The rational decision was to refuse. Sending one being, even a human, against an entire fleet was wasteful and pointless. But Thalos was also desperate, and desperate commanders sometimes made decisions that defied rationality. Very well, Thalos said. He pressed his command seal against a data tablet and handed it to Marcus. You have authorization. The armory is on deck 7. Take whatever you need. Marcus took the tablet and nodded once. Thank you, Commander. Watch for the signal. When their command ship goes dark, hit them with everything you have. They will break. He turned and walked out of the command center with the same calm demeanor he had entered with. Thalos watched him go, then turned back to his display. He felt as though he had just witnessed something significant, though he could not quite articulate what. 2 hours later, an unregistered shuttle appeared on the tactical display, launching from one of the fortress hangar bays. It was small and fast, the kind of ship used for courier runs or reconnaissance. It accelerated toward the Ravager formation with reckless speed, ignoring all targeting locks and incoming fire. Is that him? The tactical officer asked. Yes, Thalos replied, watching the shuttle weave through weapons fire with impossible precision. The Ravagers noticed the shuttle quickly enough. Fighters broke formation to intercept, their weapons lighting up the void. But the shuttle was faster and more maneuverable than it had any right to be. It dodged and rolled, threading through gaps in the defensive screen that Thalos had not even known existed. Then it was through, racing toward the massive command ship at the center of the fleet. The command ship itself began firing, but by then it was too late. The shuttle struck the hull near the main hangar bay, breaching the outer doors and disappearing inside. Did he just crash into their ship? The tactical officer asked in disbelief. He did, Thalos confirmed. For 20 minutes, nothing happened. The Ravager fleet continued its assault, pressing against the fortress shields. Thalos ordered his remaining ships to hold position, conserving their strength for the moment Marcus had promised. If the moment came at all, then the Ravager command ship went dark. Happened suddenly, all its lights and engines cutting out simultaneously. The massive vessel drifted forward on momentum alone, a dead hulk in the void. The surrounding Ravager ships seemed to hesitate, their formation wavering as they tried to understand what had happened to their flagship. Now, Thalos commanded, all ships full assault. Target their cruisers first. The fortress weapons came alive, lancing out with concentrated fire. The defense fleet, battered and depleted as it was, surged forward with renewed energy. Without their command ship coordinating their movements, the Ravagers fell into disarray. Ships collided with each other as they tried to regroup. Return fire became sporadic and poorly aimed, Thalos watched as the battle turned. His forces, outnumbered and outgunned, began systematically destroying the enemy fleet. The Ravagers fought back, but without leadership or coordination, they were just targets. Within an hour, the surviving Ravager ships began to retreat, jumping to faster-than-light travel in a desperate attempt to escape. "Commander," the tactical officer said, his voice filled with awe, "we won." Thalos said nothing. He was watching the drifting command ship, wondering what had happened inside. The human had said he would not need extraction, but surely no one could survive whatever had occurred on that vessel dot, as if in answer to his thoughts. A shuttle launched from the command ship. It was different from the one Marcus had arrived in, larger and more heavily armed. It accelerated toward the fortress, broadcasting a friendly identification code. When Marcus Cole walked back into the command center, he looked exactly as he had when he left. His clothing was torn and stained, and there was blood on his hands, but his expression remained calm. He carried a data core under one arm. "Their command codes and fleet deployment data," Marcus said, handing the core to Thalos. "Should help you track down the rest of them." Thalos took the data core with hands that trembled slightly. "What happened on that ship?" Marcus met his eyes. "I kept my promise. Everyone on board is dead." "How many?" "I stopped counting after the first 100. The command center was silent again. Thalos looked at this human, this unremarkable member of